Yo l'équipe, what's up? ¿Cómo estamos? I'm very excited because today we record a special episode of the podcast. First of all, because I was doing it in English for the first time, and I had the chance to talk to a famous entrepreneur based here in Barcelona, Andreas von Estorff. We talk about two main topics. Why are we facing a mental health crisis and how to be aligned in our lives? Andreas, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's an honor. This is a special episode for me because, first of all, that's the first time I'm doing it in English.
Oh, wow.
So please apologize for all the mistakes I'm going to make. You know, French people, we are not the best in languages. And second, that's the first time I'm having a guest with me on my podcast. And I'm happy this is you because when I met you, I told you I've been looking for a profile like yours, someone who's been successful in his professional life, but also following a healthy lifestyle. Because nowadays, lots of people think it's not possible to combine both, and you are the proof that it's possible. So for those who don't know you, can you please tell us more about you, your background, your career, and your relationship with health in general?
Of course. So yeah, I'm sorry that I can't speak French. So I think it would be nice to do it in French. I understand, but not enough to do this conversation. I'm a human being like you, which makes us having a lot in common, so-called oneness. And
Exactly.
apart from that, I'm born in Germany. I'm a German. I studied engineering and economy. I did an MBA in Miami, and I am an entrepreneur since 28 years now. I started my first company in Germany. Everything was in the digital field. When I started my first business, internet started basically. So I was so fascinated about internet and about technology. And since then, I built several companies. I exited some successful, some are still there, and I'm still a shareholder. And of course, also I failed in some, which is normal and usual. And apart from that, which I think is even more important than a professional career, is I'm married since 30 years, 30, with my first love and wife. And we have 4 kids and 1 grandson.
Wow.
And I think this is also maybe the biggest success in my life, to build a family and be a happy father, husband, grandfather right now. And I think that's it. Right now I'm living in Barcelona since 25 years. And maybe to talk about the health part and why I got more into this. I think luckily I had a healthy lifestyle all my life. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink too much. Of course, as a young man, I went to party and stuff, but I had a good life habit, also sports. But 5 years ago, I went into a burnout because I worked too much. I didn't spend enough time on my health, on my good habits for myself. So I did less and less sports. I worked more, and I was overloaded with tasks and responsibilities. I didn't recognize that it was too much. I just went on in autopilot, and then I crashed, and I had a panic attack. I had a depression, and I had to stop everything for 4 months until I recovered. And since then, which is like 4 years ago, I went into spirituality. I tried to understand what happened to me physically, why I crashed so much, which I didn't expect. What is a burnout? I talked to many other entrepreneurs and managers who had similar experiences, and I became kind of a coach specialist in understanding how to combine business entrepreneurship with a healthy lifestyle, especially from the mind perspective, because physically I think we know a lot, but a healthy mind, we are not so good as a society, and this is something I focus on.
Definitely. So you said you did a burnout. So, I mean, inside you, you didn't notice anything, but did you like receive any comments from people around you saying, "Hey, Andreas, you should take care of yourself," or and you were not listening? How did it
Yes.
happen?
I can tell that you have experience, because this is a very good question that every psychotherapist or people who know burnouts would also ask. And right now, I think it's good, because if somebody is about to run into burnout, which I would recommend to avoid, even though in my case it was a good experience because I recovered and I learned a lot from the burnout. It's also something that I think for me, this was a gift almost that it happened, because I could change many things in my life for better. But yes, the year before, I think I got warnings from many people, especially my wife and close people, who saw me changing, being more, I don't know, less patient, not sleeping well, not being able to focus on things, because it's a typical sign for when you're into burnout. You cannot focus anymore on one thing. You're always multitasking and trying to do everything. You wake up in the morning, 3 or 4 o'clock, and you have thoughts and cannot stop thinking. You become less empathetic, because you only want results and you want to solve things. You see more problems than good things. So there's a lot of science, but people ignore it. Like me, you ignore it. You think you can handle everything. It's normal, you have to be strong, you have to survive. But yes, my wife especially, she sent me an email a couple of days before it crashed, even, that I read it afterwards. I thought, wow, she really knew I was close. She saw it, and I would always ignore it. I said, no, don't worry, everything's good, and I will handle that.
I'm super surprised by the fact that we have inside of us, we have like all the answers, we have like our inner voice, and we never pay any attention. But the answers, like all the solutions, are here inside.
Absolutely. That's true, but I only realized this after my burnout. Before, I was totally mind focused. I thought that everything that I think, everything that goes into functioning and completing my roles, making a good job in everything, was all that matters. So I didn't have space to listen to my soul or to my heart. But now I've discovered this, which is much greater and much more important source than the mind.
Definitely. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think we grew up in this society like, okay, to be successful in his professional life, you have to work hard from 8 to 7. You take like a 5 minutes break, you eat in front of your screen, and it doesn't help at the end. It's super nice to take breaks. It's super nice to go for a nap, to eat healthy food, to have like enough amount of sleep. But I mean, nobody taught us that at school, or even our parents or grandparents. They don't know. They don't have the knowledge, of this. I don't know if you learned by yourself, or your family, your parents were like a bit like that, following a healthy lifestyle, or I don't know what kind of education you received from your parents.
There's two parts of what you said. One is that definitely our grandparents, my parents' generation, my generation, and I think there's shift towards your generation and younger. We have been educated in a way like the more you work, the better you achieve. It starts from school, like it's all about achieving things, studying hard, and whatever. So it's the brain of a child is trained to that logic. Yeah, it's like to reach something, you have to work hard. That's a logic we think, but it's not true, of course. And with the pressure of society right now, with all the availability due to social media and internet and mobile phone, there's never a limit. So if you want to do more, you can always do more. What suffers is sleeping time and resting for the brain. So that is something that is a trend for the mental health, and that is a bad trend, and we have to turn it around. I think there's more consciousness right now in younger generation. But then there's a generation above who's trying to argue it and making and telling they are weak because they want to have a break and they want to do yoga and all this stuff. So, which is just defending my generation, not me, defends their lifestyle, but they don't recognize that this is the right thing to do. So this is from the mental health. What you say about other health, like nutrition and physical health, I think there's already more awareness, and my parents educated me well in terms of doing sports and having a healthy nutrition, not drinking alcohol, not smoking, giving me space to discover things, but also as an example from themselves, giving me good reasons to choose good food and good habits, which was lucky for me because I could have other parents. So I was lucky in this regard. Yeah, but I think my point is that today, if we want to change something, and I think you are on the same line, the biggest issue is to raise awareness about mental health. I think the nutrition and the sports, there's other people who do it already, and it's getting clearer. And I can always say it's, of course, the base. But what is not talked enough about is mental health.
Yeah, definitely. Me, for example, like I just received my certificate of being a health coach, so a health and wellness coach. And in the past, I didn't know, for example, the gut-brain connection. That food can impact you mentally. I didn't even know that. I mean, nobody told me this. And how do you manage your stress level? So that's why now, like we are facing, as you know, today we are facing a mental health crisis, lots of burnout, lots of depression. How do you explain that situation?
So yeah, I think this connection between the guts and the mind or the brain is super important, also from the mental health perspective. We are trained to think only about nutrition affects our physical health. We want to be pretty and strong and have a good body shape, but we forget that nutrition is also very influential on the mental health and resilience. So that part is for sure important. But the other question you had, like how do you explain that we have this increase, and I would say it's dramatically or exponential increase of burnouts, depression, and other mental health issues, which is a fact. It's statistically proven the last 10 years, especially growing a lot. My explanation is that humanity exists for 100,000 of years or a million of years, and the brain is still the same, evolutionary. But there was a dramatic change in the last 50 to 100 years, where we were always striking or fighting for survival and fighting against physical survival. So the enemies were diseases or the white tiger or any animal that's stronger than us, the enemy, human enemy that can kill us, or starving, not having enough food. Our brain is made for this, just alert us to survive against these threats. But these threats are not existing anymore. Now we have enough to eat, even too much. We have good clinics and doctor health system that avoids these big diseases. And in most of the countries, we don't have animals or other enemies that can kill us anytime. So the brain is still looking for other enemies, and the enemies become the provider who doesn't deliver, the neighbor who shouts at you, the car that stops in front of you. And it's the same reaction of the brain that becomes into the fight mode. And when we are in the fight mode, fight and run mode, we get stressed. And it's the same stress than a white tiger that is in front of you. And the body is not made for this permanent stress hormone production. And so that's why we burn out. We are putting our body in alert all the time due to this fight mode. Plus, we have no recovery time for the brain because of the internet and the multiple roles of humans right now. Every man and woman has to at least be a good mother, father, and a good professional. Yeah. So there's no rest anymore, and internet is available all the time. You can always attend the phone, your social media. So the brain has no breaks anymore. It's no peace. The brain is always present. If the brain is always present, then the brain becomes the boss, and you identify yourself with the brain only because you don't have the shift to other status, and just the brain is always there until you sleep. And even when you sleep, the brain is still processing.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's a problem, and we have to be aware of it and change our life habits and give our brain a rest. Yeah.
So for you, Andreas, what kind of changes have you made in your life to give a break to your mind, to your body? What kind of changes have you made?
So there's, first of all, habits, low-hanging fruits for me. Changing habits is not easy, but recognizing that you need more break for the brain, understanding that the brain needs vacation from time to time is a simple one. And once you have it, you just look at your day and say, okay, how much time do I spend on the screen or spend processing information, and how can I reduce that? And what are the best options to reduce it? And so what do you like to do and what's good for you to do, which is not using the brain? Yeah? So less social media, less news consumption on the screen definitely is a very low-hanging fruit to change for most of the people. You will be surprised if you look at your statistics how much time you spend on the screen.
It's crazy.
And replacing this with anything you like, from sports to cooking, gardening, walking through the park, meditation, breath work, ice bath, swimming, anything which is more body related is good. And even sitting on the sofa doing nothing and having no screen, nothing. So this is a general thing. I did this a lot. So I established some habits that in the morning I don't switch my phone on before a certain time. Yeah. usually 9 or 10 earliest. And before I do sports, I do my morning routine, have a coffee with my wife, I have a cold shower. And the same at the evening. Before I go sleep, I shut off my mobile phone 2 hours before and also do a walk or do something that is not screen or brain consumption related. That's good. And if in between the busy day, and as an entrepreneur you do have busy days, it's unavoidable, but that's fine. If your brain works properly, it's okay. I also try to have breaks, and if I see that my brain is overloaded, I have some meditation practices that I have to, in a couple of minutes, to calm down the brain and change to a inner peace mode where I'm more creative and can access all my experience and wisdom.
Regarding meditation, do you do it when you need it, or like is it a habit you do it like every morning or before going to bed?
So I can only explain what I'm doing, but I have to warn that it's really important to find out individually what works best for everybody. Yeah? So first of all, meditation for me is not what many people think is meditation, where it's like sitting 20 minutes, half an hour still in a certain position, closing the eyes and coming into a state. That is one method of meditation, and it can be very useful and good, but it has to be practiced. But it can also be exaggerated. Some people exaggerate and it becomes a new to-do in the busy life, like, oh, I have to meditate, otherwise I will not be good. So that's dangerous, yeah? So for me, meditation is, again, anything that allows me to shift from mind focus to out of the mind focus. So also sports has a meditative function. So, but when it comes to like traditional meditation, like closing my eyes, becoming present, focusing on my senses, breathing, I do it only when I need it. So it's like, this is one method for me that I use when I feel that the brain needs a rest. It's overthinking. My wife practices meditation every day, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes an hour. And for her, it becomes a habit, and it's really good because I think it strengthens her resilience. Yeah, and she's much calmer than me. But so both is fine. You have to find out what's best.
Yeah, and I think regarding meditation, for example, from my personal experience, I noticed the benefits of experience was after a couple of months of practicing. Because the thing is, at the beginning, you try and you don't feel anything, or it doesn't work, or I keep thinking about like. All of the things I have to do today. But it's after like practicing day by day, after a couple of months, I started noticing the benefits of the practice. I don't know if it happened for you.
I think we should maybe talk about expectations of meditation. I think you're right and wrong. So there's a short-term effect of meditation that should be short-term noticed, which is like shifting from I feel busy, I feel like I have something within me which doesn't feel comfortable. My mind is too busy. I'm not at peace. I'm not at calm. So if you practice meditation, then immediately after a minute or 5, I feel the calm. So that's the immediate effect. But there's another, like with many things, when you practice meditation in a longer scope, then you have less moments where this happens. So you become a calmer person, and you become like a more long-term in the state of inner peace. So it's also good to practice it to get just in a better state and get more resilience in general. Yeah. So there's an immediate effect that can be practiced, and there's a long-term effect, of course, like with everything. When you practice something good and properly, then you have a long-term effect as well.
Okay, interesting. But the thing is, the mistake we make is when we talk about health, we put our focus only on sport and nutrition. But the thing is, so many effects in your life can impact your health, your professional life, your relationship, your finances, and people don't really think about all those, factors that can impact your health. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, totally. I think we forget, and now in times of AI, it's more important to understand that what makes us different from machines is that we have a connection between the brain and the body. And everything comes to the brain as well. I mean, even physical health comes to the brain. And there's recovery of bad diseases depends not only on good doctors and on physical exercise, it depends on the mindset. And so we have to understand that the most important investment that we can do is investing in our mental health. And as you said, we don't do this. We only focus on the physical part, and we don't understand how to do this. For me, this is like if you compare, let's say, a gym where you go to train your body. You want to have a muscle, you weight lifts, and you do this every hour because you train. You want to have a healthy body, or you go jogging every day. But what do we do compares to the mental health? And we should do this as well. It's more important even. So, for example, instead of lifting weights, heavy weights, for the mind, attending challenges, attending external circumstances that are not exactly what we wish in the right way is also kind of a weightlifting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so suddenly you can say that a challenge, something that goes wrong, is not something we should fight against. We should accept it and then take it as a next training unit for our mental health. Yeah. So for me, the two most important ways to train mental health and get more resilience is accepting external circumstances, take things that appear to be a challenge as an opportunity to grow. And the second is to practice breaks in between thinking and acting with meditation or some other stuff. I think do this consciously every day, you're getting stronger mentally.
I agree. I had that conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, and the thing is, with our generation, everything became very easy and fast. In 2 clicks, I can order my food. In 2 clicks, I have a new sofa. So we lost, the fact of fighting for reaching a goal. So that's why when you want to achieve something big in your life, and you have to put some efforts, you have to take some risk. We don't manage to do that.
Yeah, but be careful with the word fighting. I think I know what you mean. There's a distinction. I don't even know how in English to distinguish it. It's not fighting against something. It's fighting for something.
Fighting for something. Yeah, exactly.
And I think we have the wrong perception of life that we are happy if everything goes smoothly and everything is easy and we achieve whatever we want, and whatever stands in the way, we fight against it instead of accepting it. But if you accept from the very beginning that whatever you want to achieve, it also means to overcome challenges. And every challenge is an opportunity to grow, and it's part of the journey, and it's beautiful. Yeah, it's an adventure. Then we fight for something, not against obstacles. Yeah,
that's different.
That's a difference.
It's different. Yeah, because the thing is, one of the biggest challenge of my generation is we are not aligned. We checked all the boxes. Good job, working for a big multinational. I just bought a property. My wife, I have my kids, and still I'm not aligned. So I'm trying to find out, why we are not aligned in our lives, even if we checked all those boxes. All the things that the society, my parents, the teacher asked me to do, I did it, and still, I'm not happy. I'm not aligned.
Okay. Do you want to know what I think about this, or is it
a question? Sure, please.
Or is it just
go for it.
A statement?
No, go for it. Share your thoughts.
So first of all, I don't think that it's a generational problem. I think all generations struggle with this. Maybe you become more conscious now and you have space to discuss it, which is good. So we get aware of it. Yeah, because before my parents and myself, maybe for a long time, we were just happy to play our role that was given to us. And that's a problem. So you describe something like, this card game that young boys play with cars against another car, like horsepower and speed and whatever. So our life becomes like something like this: check, profession, wife, kids, house, whatever. So we get some KPIs, some goals, and we think that if we achieve these goals, we have to be happy because that's what society says. But that's not true, of course. And so I think we have to step back, and this is only possible if we step out of our mind, because our mind is programmed for these goals. Our mind is conditioned that you are good if you achieve these goals. But the soul has another plan. And so disconnecting from these goals and say, what is really good for me? Understanding, connecting here, what feels good? And you can find out that something totally different feels good than everybody told you. And if that's the case, then it's good for you. You don't have to fulfill a role that other people tell you. So for me, for example, before my burnout, happiness was always something I could describe with this card game. I'm happy because I sold my company. I'm happy because I was married. I'm happy because I had a kid. I'm happy because I bought a new house. I'm happy because I go to the movies. That is logical. But afterwards, I discovered that real happiness and much deeper happiness comes from something you can't explain. I was sitting on a sofa looking out of the window, looking at the trees, and I was like, wow, and my heart opened and I got the warmth, like, this is real happiness. This is deep happiness. I didn't achieve anything. I just connected to the nature. Wow.
Yeah, but what happened in your life, to realize that, What has been like it?
Unfortunately, this is called spiritual awakening, that you wake up from your autopilot, from your program that was programmed for society and your parents, and you wake up. In my case, you wake up by suffering. Yeah. So I had this event of the burnout, and many people have awakening when they get cancer, when they lose a close family member, whatever. So suffering is one enabler to awaken spiritually. That is the bad news. It's also good news for the ones who, because it's unavoidable that you suffer a certain time, that suffering comes also with something good, which is an opportunity to awaken spiritually, to get out of your program. But I think this podcast and what we do now, I write a book, I talk on podcasts and events, and many people do this, is also trying to awaken people before they go into suffering. Just get consciousness, being conscious about things. So, for example, I always try to make it easy to understand. When you talk about nutrition, there was no consciousness for a long time in the first 10, 20 years of industrialization that, enough to eat, we eat whatever. And then suddenly people understand that eating is not always good. You can also eat something bad. So if you would have a family in the US, let's say, who has no TV, no internet, doesn't know, but there's a McDonald's in front, and they have the budget to go every time and drink a Coca-Cola, a burger, and French fries, they would do it. They would, of course, become overweighted, and get health problems. But you can't blame them because they're not aware of it. They're not conscious. So now you tell them, look, how about eating an apple from time to time or something different? And now they become conscious because somebody explained to them it's not good to eat burgers and Coca-Cola every day. And they have a decision, they have a choice. So having a choice means, okay, now I can change my habits and have a Coca-Cola once a day, but then a water the rest of the day and an apple, and suddenly you become healthier, the person. The same is with mental health. We have to get awareness before it's too late.
No, definitely, I agree. And the thing is, one of our problem is we compare ourselves too much, with the others. For example, today I have my iPhone and I see a young boy, 20 years old, living his best life in Dubai, in Bali. I said, wow, Yanis, you're late in your life, you didn't achieve that, So that's why sometimes social medias have a bad, impact on you. And I think we should compare ourselves with our past previous version. I don't know if you agree with that. Yeah, try to compete with myself, I want to be like the best version of myself. So obviously I made some mistakes in the past, but learn from it, try to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, social media is giving us a version of other people that is a total fake sometimes. Yeah, so you only share the best moments of your life and you make other people think that you don't have any problem, everything's smooth. But I can tell you, I know a lot of influencers with a lot of followers that they are the saddest people when they shut up their phone. So it's not a good way to compare you with them. And also for them, it's not good to do that. It's not healthy. For most of them, there's always exceptions. So yeah, staying away from social media is an advice anyway. I think there's no harm to stay away from social media. If you use it consciously in a certain way, it's fine. I also do it, but you have to be really aware of how much you use it.
The same with TV, when you watch the news, so you hear bad news, for 1 hour. So obviously it's going to impact you. When you stay with negative people, obviously it's going to impact, I changed that, in my life, I try to spend more time with positive people, inspiring people, and it helped me, to become my best version.
Yeah.
So
let me go back to this other part of your question, and also I would like to go back on what you just said. It's super interesting, and I hope we can just talk openly and everything that comes to my mind. So the comparing with your older version or whatever, so comparing with others, I think is not really good advice. Yeah, I also say flowers also don't compare themselves to the next flower; they just bloom. Yeah, so I think you just should not compare yourself. You should just learn from others. Yeah, whatever, and observe others, but most importantly, learn to observe and feel and connect to yourself. What's good, what feels good on the long run is good for you. So learn to love what's good for you and learn to feel what's good for you, not to copy others or to run behind goals that society or your parents or your friends give you because it's their goals. Their goals is not your goal. Your goal is to do something that feels good for you, to come into a state where you feel like harmony and inner peace. And it doesn't really matter what others think about it. If you feel it's good, it's good. Yeah, really good. And not superficially good like a drug or alcohol. That feels good for a moment, but afterwards you get headache and you know it's not good. It's something that feels sustainably good. So that is one part. And the other part of your last comment, I think is we have to be aware of how we perceive reality. Yeah. So if we consume a lot of news or we listen to people who talk bad about everything, in the moment we look at this becomes our reality. So we allow that our reality is negative, and we bring all the problems of the world to our present moment. So instead of sitting on my sofa looking at the tree and see how beautiful nature is, I look at the TV and see Trump, Putin, Gaza, and all this stuff. Yeah, I don't want to ignore it, but also I don't want to become like to have my brain consuming this as my reality, because here's the thing, the body doesn't distinguish between a thought reality and the real reality. If you really look into this drama, the body reacts with a mode that is not healthy, because it transmits the thoughts and the emotions to the body, and we become stressed, become problematic, and it's not healthy for us. So we have to be aware that the reality is what we focus on. If we focus on bad news, our reality is bad.
But the thing is, I think we are not aware that it impacts us. I can see around me, my friends, family watching the news. No, but it's all right to just spend, the time. But behind you, that it's gonna impact you for sure.
Exactly.
I see around me lots of people with a huge potential. We all have talents, but we don't do it. We mentally we are blocked. I don't know if it happened to you in the past. You were scared to leave your comfort zone, and what did you do, to break those limits?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was lucky that my parents encouraged me to try whatever, and I think relatively for me myself this was not such a big problem. But I see it with many other cases where people are very limited in their mind to what they can achieve just because other people limit them, and education limits us as well. But what is definitely true is that if we disconnect from the mind, because the mind is knowledge and knowledge is limiting, yeah. I mean, my theory, and not only mine, also Eckhart Tolle and other people I read, is when we are born, there's no limits. We can, whatever happens. We can become everything we believe. But then, with everything we learn, now I'm German, I'm a man, I'm whatever. We get more limited. We get more barriers because we think that this limits us to something, and the goals that we get seen. Yeah. So disconnecting from the mind means that suddenly these limits are not counting anymore, and I can feel what's really good for me, and I can feel what talent I have, and I can try anything without any limitations, and I will see that, wow, I can become a musician. Why not? Not maybe Beethoven, but at a certain level that it feels good for me, and I can express myself through music or through painting or whatever.
But did you feel fear when you launched your business, when you moved to Barcelona, for example? When you left your comfort zone, did you feel that fear?
Yeah, and I have to explain. I'm an individual, as everybody's individual, and my DNA, or I'm a typical entrepreneur founder. So my advantage and disadvantage is that I'm a bit naive when it comes to these things. I try things without fear. That means I make also mistakes. I don't see the danger. I don't see I see more opportunities than risk. yeah, which can be dangerous. But this is my way of thinking. Why it's like this? Because something since I'm born or education, I don't know. But this is my own way to see. So I don't have these limitations. I went to Barcelona. Like, everything will be good, and then suddenly I realized it was not so easy, and I handle it.
Yeah.
Where other people see already coming problems, also with my companies. Yeah, sometimes people tell me, "I told you." I said, "Yeah, but I didn't want to know it at this point. If I know all the risks and all the danger, I will not do anything." So I want to be a person who always is open to start with things. So for me personally, if you ask me, I don't have this out of the comfort zone problem. I'm always doing the same, and for me, it's rather a problem that I'm not, let's say, maintaining in a comfortable state long enough. So I put myself always in a new situation which challenges me.
Yeah. I think today we are scared to take risk because, since childhood, like when you fail, it's something bad, it's related to negativity. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's education, of course. Especially in Europe. I think in France and Germany, in the US, it's not like this. In the US, I think failure is totally accepted.
For them, like failure is part of the process.
Yeah.
They know that's okay. So in Europe, it's totally different.
Yeah, I agree.
It was like always bad for me, like, when I had a bad notes and I was not really learning from my mistakes or from my failures, I was just ashamed.
Exactly. That's our school education system, I think, is the most responsible for that. And also, to be fair, maybe in industrial other times, failure was not a good idea because, or in the military, failure can cost lives. So I think there are certain areas in life where you have to be careful to not fail. But right now we have many professions or things we do where failure can be beautiful and can be something exactly to learn, to grow. And it's not yet seen as such in the society, I think. More and more, but so there's this in startup scene, there's this like fuck up nights where founders can talk about their big failures, everybody's laughing. But this is only a very small bubble, but if you go into a corporate company or in other areas, it's still like, oh, this guy is a failure because he did this wrong. Don't invest him in anymore or whatever, which is a shame.
Yeah, totally. Me, I'm super curious about what's going on, abroad. You, for example, you lived in the US, in Miami, right? For how long?
Yes, half a year.
Okay. Did you notice like any like big changes? Anything you could like bring it back to Europe, to our society? Maybe like as you were saying, the school education, maybe, and
what I bring back to Europe and to Germany, Spain. I have also lived some time in France, in Lyon. Is that it's healthy to go abroad, and you realize how good we live in Europe. I think that's my learning. I wouldn't bring anything, big from there. I think you can always learn. Again, like the culture of failure is part of the process, is very healthy. Take more risks, also good. So there's certain things, but all in all, I think we are blaming ourselves too much, being Europeans and what we have. And of course, we have to do things, improve things. But we also have to look at all the achievements we have in society, like the security, the health system, the education system, the fair trade with humans, that everybody has a chance and stuff. So, it's good to travel to Asia, to US, and to live some time to understand what's there. But I don't see an overall better concept as ours. I think Europe is the best concept in the world. Also, we have some advantages from the past that we have maybe not earned, but we have just conquered by colonization and stuff, to be fair as well, which is...
In my opinion, you get the best education from your travels as well. I think we both had the chance to travel a lot all around the world. And the thing is, obviously, when you see what's going on in other countries, we should have maybe more gratitude. We don't have enough gratitude about what we have. We always say like, okay, I'm gonna be happy when I will have this. I'm gonna be happy when I will do this. But we already have like great things. We have a house, we have the fridge full of food, we are healthy, and I don't know. It's crazy. It makes me...
Yes, totally. If I only have 2 minutes to explain what's important, people ask me for a hack. I always bring it down to 3 words: is acceptance, gratitude, and clarity. Yeah. So first of all, learn to accept reality as it is. Don't fight against external circumstances. Don't fight against the weather, against the neighbor shouting at you. It's like this. You cannot change it.
Don't waste your energy, your time.
Exactly. You waste your
You
energy.
don't have any impact, on it. So
exactly.
accept it.
And by accepting it, you don't fight against it. You don't put your brain into the fight mode. You become more at inner peace, and then you become creative in how to deal with it. Yeah, instead of shouting back to your neighbor, you can just say, "Let him shout. It's not my problem; it's his problem," and you are at inner peace. And then gratitude is seeing first of all what you have already, what you have achieved, rather than only focusing on what you don't have, what others have, and what you would like to have, or what maybe you would like to achieve in the future. There's nothing against having a nice plan for the future and a vision, but always from the base of, hey, what I have already is great, and there's something on top of what I have. It's not the thing that brings me happiness, and anything else is not existing anymore. So being very aware of what we have is gratitude, and you can practice it by every day making 4 or 5 points that you realize in the day. Somebody smiled at you, the night podcast set up here in the studio, and I can just write down, so thank you for this moment with Janis, it was really great. And then you just put the good things on the surface, and your brain becomes more at peace because it understands that there's good things and not only focusing on the bad things. And out of this inner peace state, you become clarity. So you see the whole thing, not only the lack of things and the problematic things. You see the good and the bad things, and you understand that life is consisting of everything, and adventure. Life is an adventure. And look at a movie where everything would be smooth and going well. It's so boring. Yeah. So we need to accept that life is ups and downs, and it's beautiful. Just deal with it.
Yeah, definitely. And we always say that, you can have like 100 problems, but if you have one health problem, like,
Exactly.
you forget the rest.
Yes, totally.
So from you professional experience, what I hear a lot, with my friends, my family, we have like that financial pressure. Do you think money makes people happy? That's the 1 billion question.
No,
question.
Money doesn't make people happy. The lack of money makes people unhappy. And that doesn't mean that it has to be like this, but the feeling that we are not having enough money, and that also applies for me still, but less, but for my burnout even more, because you have certain costs. You have a company, you have employees who want to have their salary, you have a family, kids that want to go to school. So we are in certain pressure to have enough cash to deliver everything we promised, and we think we need for life. So we become addicted to a certain lifestyle where money is, you cannot ignore, is important. So you can always decide to step out of this and live outside of the city in a very simple surrounding, have your kids educating themselves, whatever. I think that's a choice. But if you don't choose that life, if you choose the life that you and I live, then there's certain pressure to have money and pay your bills every month. So I would say, for me, it's like having like stability and feeling like you can afford whatever you have at costs relatively safe and easily is super important to be at peace, because if not, it is a big stress factor. But anything above that doesn't make you happier. So if people need 2,000 a month to cover your costs, if you have only 1,000, you become unhappy, and it's a stress. So you either have to change and have less costs, or you have to make more money, because you cannot ignore that in our society. But needing 2,000 and then having 10,000 or 20,000 every month, the happiness factor is very slow. It's maybe in the first months, but after time, I know people who had millions and they were happy for 2 days, and then they get lost, because what is the next thing to achieve? You have everything.
That's the thing, because from my travels, I saw people with no money super happy, and I know rich people, very rich people, and they're unhappy. So I'm trying to find out what's the balance,
Yeah, it's super rational if you think about it. And I had this as well. So you choose the level of how much money you need to live. It's a choice. Yeah, we can choose if we want to rent a house or whatever. So everything has a price. So now we have chosen where we are, and that has a certain price level. And you have to and that can stress you. So people who have no money are not happier than people who have money. The difference is that people who have no money and have chosen a lifestyle where they not need money, they depend on money, they are very happy, they are free, because money is not something that gives them pressure. But somebody who needs 2,000 euros a month and has no money is unhappy, and that's normal because he cannot pay his bills, and that's a big problem.
Yeah.
So I think we have to be aware of this. Yeah. First of all, choose the lifestyle that you can afford, and then you're free. Yeah. And if you
Because you think we are allowed to spend more that we make?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. The capitalism and look at the
Yeah,
advertisement and
sure,
everything. We run around and we can take 10 decisions a day to spend more money on food, on restaurants, on coffee, on clothes, on toys, on gadgets, you name it. It's a permanent thing.
By the way, regarding that topic on Netflix, there is a nice documentary called Minimalism, and they talk about like the fact in your house that you have so many stuff, for nothing. You have like 10 shoes, maybe, or how many? I don't know, 10 shirts, 20 pants. It's crazy. It's like, and it impacts, your brain, because you start seeing so many things around you, and when you have enough space, it's clear. It helps you, like it gives you a break, to your mind. It was super interesting. I don't know if you watch it, but
No, I have a friend who is quite, I would say, rich, and he also saw something like this, and then he tested it. He bought boxes and he cleaned his house and put everything in boxes for 3 months, and said like, okay, whatever I don't take out in the next 3 months, I will either throw it away or sell it. And it was 80% of everything he had. Like, it was just there. He didn't need it.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy. But yeah, you said it's capitalism.
Yeah.
So now, I know lots of my friends, on the paper, they have a great job, but they always like wanted to launch their own activity or to do a job like something totally different. But for the society, it's not well seen to do that, What kind of advice you would give to those people, I know it's a tough one.
No.
It's a tough one, but
don't
because
try
as
to
I mentioned, we have that financial pressure. So maybe they think I'm gonna make more money doing that activity. So
First of all, what society thinks, or even your close family, is not as relevant as you think. You don't have to please others. You have to do what feels good for you. So if you feel to change your profession and do something, do it. It's an experience. What can go wrong? You cannot fail if failure is part of the growth. So if you fail, you grow. If you succeed, it's good. So take a risk. It's not about life and death. It's about, I would say, rather do it than not doing it because of societal pressure.
Yeah.
And of course, be aware of the costs, and don't be stupid and start something that will cost you a lot of money and you don't have it. Of course, be realistic. Talk to other people, like get advice of how to start it. If you think about like entrepreneurial or founders mode, like doing something on your own, I would always recommend to bootstrap, which means bootstrapping means like keep the costs very low at the beginning. Don't rent an office at the first place. Don't hire people if not necessary. Just keep the cost down and try to find signals of the market if your idea that the service you want to do or the product you want to sell has enough demand. Yeah, if there's somebody who would like to pay the price for it. Yeah, try to find out that before you go into big costs. Yeah. But yeah, I think I would always encourage people to go and try it. It's fun.
Yeah. And I noticed that, regarding that topic, when you want to launch, for example, your activity, the thing is we try to reach the perfection. But the thing is you never reach the perfection.
No, that's what we said before. I think if you have a perception that life has to be perfect or your business has to be perfect, you fail from the very first moment, because no business, no person, no life is perfect. If you say, okay, life is an adventure, it persists of good and bad things, and as you said, I try to make the best version of myself and the best out of whatever happens. That's all you can do, and then you have much more chances to become successful and be happy. That simple. Expectations.
Yeah. Do you think we take life too seriously? We
Yes.
don't put enough fun in our lives.
In general, yes. I think we tend to do that, yes.
No, because I noticed that because the thing is we became adults and we lost a bit our, child, I don't know how you say it, child spirit or like...
Absolutely.
And
There's a very wise person who said, when you're a child, you try to do everything to become a grown-up, an adult. But when you're adult, you should do everything to become a child again or to maintain your child. Yeah, we don't do this. We because it's both nice.
Yeah.
And the innocence of a child. Yeah, I always take the example of this Banksy art piece. I don't know if you know Banksy. There is an adult man with a suitcase and the umbrella going through the rain and like hiding himself and his face. And there's another kid without the umbrella, just embracing the rain and smiling and jumping. So the child takes what it is as, wow, this is nature, it's fascinating, it's the rain. And our adult brain is protecting us. Oh, we get wet and what happens afterwards? I get a cold, whatever. So maintaining a little bit the spirit of a child to just embrace reality and see the magic of it is something we are losing as an adult. We are too much focused on rational results.
Yeah, I became a adult, so I have to be like so serious. I don't have enough time to to laugh. And you today, what kind of activities do you do to disconnect, to have fun? What do you do?
Sports. I love jogging. I mean, you live in Barcelona. I live close to the beach, so I can connect to the sea and to nature. Sometimes cooking is good for me.
Are you a good cooker?
I wouldn't say I'm a good cooker, but I enjoy preparing meals more than before because I feel it's something good to connect with the food and smell it, and when you eat it, you know where it's coming from. I also love to go to restaurants. A bit of gardening, walking, things like everything that's related to nature is good for me.
At the end, simple stuff, simple activities make you happy.
Yes, totally.
It's crazy.
Yeah, let's say that only, I don't know if I would be happy if I would only walk around the nature. I think it's a mix, yeah, so it's a balance. I think more of this for me was really good and is good. If it's totally in the other direction, I don't think so. I think it's a mix. I love to be an entrepreneur and I love to build a business and do things as well. But you have to find the right balance for yourself.
As you mentioned earlier regarding meditation, I don't think we have to be too extreme, in anything. When I start talking about nutrition with my friends, sometimes they think like I go too extreme, but every week I have my burger, every week I have my pizza,
Good.
But like the thing is, as the most of the week I eat healthy, it doesn't impact me, So that's why.
Good habits is like good basic habits, but then also 80-20, if you consciously decide to, okay, now I don't give a beep. I just eat the burger or chocolate and I enjoy it, really. It's not like a habit. I just eat it, or I drink a wine because I drink a wine every day as a habit. Now I drink a wine because I really enjoy it with a good friend, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine, Don't get too extreme. I totally agree.
Andreas, well, it's already the end of that episode. It went so fast.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for all the insight you gave to my generation. I hope it's going to help us to be more aligned and to improve our mental health. So thank you again for your time.
Would be nice. And thank you very much. It's a great setup. And you should do more podcasts with a guest, because if you have such a beautiful setup like here, and
I will do for sure.
It's really nice.
I will do it
perfectly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.